but yeah. Who's the better? To raise. So we are going to go. How familiar are you guys with gut health and diet and nutrition and immune systems? Are you guys, is this all new to you guys, or is it something you know a little bit about, medium amount?
It's all new, like totally new.
Sorry?
It's all new, like totally
All
new.
new. Oh, completely new.
All new, like everything.
And do you cook a lot at home, or do you eat mostly out?
No, I don't. We don't really cook.
No.
We suck at cooking.
We're super
Like,
bad.
yeah, we are trying to learn. We want to learn.
Good. Well, if this doesn't scare you into it in a good way,
I know a little bit about like teas and that things because my mom and my grandmother, like they were that kind of person that believed like in the natural medicines and all that stuff. So I know a little bit, but honestly, I'm not really good. I've never applied it.
Okay. Well, teas are actually on the list. Teas have quite a few of the nutrients that we're looking for gut health. We're going to get to it as it falls into a few categories actually. So the more tea that you're drinking, usually some of the herbal teas as well, but like the green teas, black teas are
Okay.
actually super good for what we're talking about today. How do we support our immune systems with the food that we eat? Why is that important? Because our immune systems help to fight off diseases. Right now, I guess we're all thinking of the same one. And while there is no prevention or cure for a virus, the best thing that we can do is prepare our immune systems to be able to fight it off so that it doesn't get the better of us in any way. And you could, as everyone's heard in the news, some people can have a virus and never even know. And they're generally people with a stronger immune system. Sometimes it's just dumb luck. Maybe it's like a total spring breaker for a year-round spring breaker, and they're just young enough that they can fight it off. But no matter what age or time of life we're in, this is the one thing that we can do to help prevent that kind of sickness. And it's not, we'll say diet a few times as we go through, but it's not, I don't want you to have that idea of a diet as in Weight Watchers or a fad diet like paleo or something. But when we say diet, it's more of a lifestyle. It's more of a way of changing the way that you eat so that you don't even think about it anymore. You just gradually change your habits, introduce new things, know that you should have certain things every so often or every day, and it becomes second nature. So that's what we mean when we say diet, not the low calorie, no sugar or fat candy bars that are supposed to make us lose like 40 pounds in a week. So I think, can you guys see the presentation on my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Then I'm going to figure out how to make that change. Is it an arrow key? Maybe. Are you, yeah, so, okay. So, we're Pinchido.com. That's us. So, as we see here, I use a lot of pings. I hope you guys are into real awkward imagery with our text, because that's the style I went for. If it's maybe easier, I can hit it from here. Then I think I'm going to do that. Sweet. So, as I was saying, boosting your immune system naturally with a lifestyle diet is the foundation of all health. What we'll see, what everything has in common here in the foods that we're going to be talking about is they all cut down on inflammation. Basically, inflammation is the basis of most diseases, and where that comes from is when we have something foreign in our body, our immune system tends to attack it. If it's in tip-top shape, its target is spot on. If it's a little bit exhausted or confused or overwhelmed, it can start to attack parts of our bodies that it shouldn't be, the healthier parts or our cells. But anytime there's an immune system intervention, we tend to have some inflammation there. And that can lead to pain. Over time, sustained inflammation turns into a chronic something or other, and that usually it turns into something fatal if we don't treat the root of the problem, not just the symptoms. So we could make the pain go away, we could make the swelling go down, but if we don't find out, if we don't know and treat what that root is, then we might not feel that we're dying, but we're dying. This is great holiday and introduction talk. I should do this one on Christmas. So the immune system is made up of 4 different parts. There are the organs that produce our white blood cells, which attack the foreign bodies inside of our bodies. There are, is this on a timer? Why doesn't it move? Okay, that one is, I'm gonna try something easier. Tim's screen. I'm going to share my screen. Tell me what you guys see now. You don't see porno, right? Do you guys see my screen now? Do you see the presentation full there?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're gonna go to that. So yeah, so the first system is the organs that produce our white blood cells. The second is the lymphatic system that cleans our blood and helps to circulate those white blood cells through, pick up the bad guys when they pass, and they kind of stack them up. If you've ever had a swollen lymph node, they're usually here. Some the painful ones can be under your armpits. That's where your lymphatic system is taking out the garbage. Yeah, so that's that's how you notice that's the indication of that system working. Then we have, well, this is what I was just talking about. That's kind of taking out the trash. And then the last is our little gut garden down here, which is pretty fascinating. We're going to get to some numbers in a second, which are kind of disturbing. It always blows my mind. If you guys if you've heard of Michael Pollan, he has a great phrase that kind of caught on a while ago. It's eat food, not too much, mostly plants. It's a great way to think about how we should be eating day to day, but it brings up a few questions, like who suggested eating something other than food, and what was it? So what they say, so a lot of people, you've maybe heard of you've probably heard of antioxidants before. It's a big selling, it's used a lot as kind of a way to say, it's used a lot to trick people into buying stuff, because they want you to believe that antioxidants are kind of the single bullet solution to everything. They are good antioxidants. They help take out the foreign kind of trash in our bodies that would otherwise attach themselves to a healthy cell. They oxidize a lot like if you leave some metal out in the rain and it gets all rusty. That's oxidization as well. But if we have too many antioxidants in our bodies, it actually starts to go downhill. It's a fine balance. The best way to think of it is just the more locally that you eat, the closer you are to the ideal balance of those sorts of things. Like, it's basically too much of a good thing it's not going to be good anymore. So usually, if you look in your zone, as we go through some of the lists of foods with antioxidants, you'll see a lot of winter foods. They either are root vegetables, and they're healthy for us in the winter because, oh, that's weird. If you think about it, a potato or an allium vegetable like an onion, garlic, yams, turnips, they go dormant for the winter, so they pull all of their nutrients down into the only living part of the plant, which is the part that we eat. So they suck it all back down, hoping to come up in the spring, but we swoop in, chew them up, and poop them out. So we get all those nutrients. There are, why does this not want to do that? Just don't. There we go. Kind of. We'll deal with that. I think that's fine. But you'll also see at that time of year, there's maybe one or two fruits that were harvested right before the winter months. That's what we should be eating. If you go to a grocery store and you see fruit from all over the world in one place, and you try to stack up on apples and pomegranates and pineapples and ground cherries, that's a case where you may be taking in too many antioxidants. Maybe got a lot of garbage to clean out, but it's unlikely that you would have enough that would be considered a balance. So usually look at where you are, think about it, look what's in season. If you eat with what's in season, that's a pretty basic kind of sure way to be doing it right. Is it this camera now? Am I looking at you now or now? Here or here? Okay. So they say 9 servings of vegetables a day. That's a dangerous way to put it because nobody knows what a serving is. Do you guys know what a serving of vegetables is?
Yeah, we know, like the portions.
You do?
Yeah,
What is it?
like how is it not serving? Like a portion. I don't know how to say it. Like for example,
Oh yeah,
one apple, like one, like how many apples you eat, or
Okay. So more of a
no?
piece. That's
Yeah,
yeah, that's
please,
a little bit
please.
easier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think did Jessica, I think they changed the food pyramid and serving suggestions recently, but it used to be they would say eat a serving size of whatever was the size of your fist, but everybody has a different size fist, so that's it wasn't perfect, but uh, I think it's better here in Mexico actually, the food pyramid or the my plate, my what do you call it, the the chart that tells you what percentage of your meal should be from which group. Um,
How we call it?
we had the food pyramid in the US, and it was basically all sold off to the highest bidders. So we were told for decades to eat way more meat than we should be because the meat dudes were throwing money at it. So it's if you just think that your main dish of every meal should be vegetable based, that's an easier way to go about it, and then you just don't have to think about it too much. Just think that I'm not eating a steak with something else. I'm eating vegetables and then maybe some meat on the side. Let's see. So we're going to go through some of the different nutrients that are beneficial to our systems in different foods, and it can be kind of dry, but phytonutrients. It's if you break down the meaning of it, it's phyto is referring to the plants, so it's nutrients that are coming from plants. Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. They're basically working with our bodies to help repair any cell damage and make sure that we're not passing on damaged DNA, which ends up becoming something like a tumor or some other sort of disease. So they help to clean out our systems as we go. One thing to keep in mind is that these processes are super efficient when we let them work, but they don't actually get to work as long as we have food in our system. So it could be anywhere from your mouth to a few hours later. So in general, you don't start cleaning out and repairing your damaged cells and DNA in your blood until you have passed all the last food that you've eaten. So it's ideal if you have a 16-hour window sometime in your day that you haven't eaten. It's easiest usually to do that overnight while you're sleeping. So if you figure a few hours before and a few hours after bedtime, then it's a little bit easier than to think I'm not going to eat for 16 hours while I'm awake. It does. We're going to do a separate presentation on that because there's a way to really trick your body into, if your goal is to burn fat, you pair that with a quick exercise regimen in the morning, and it burns right through it. But that's not for today, y'all. So there's way more than we actually know, the number of phytonutrients, but we've managed to identify a few of them. And so we'll go through some of the important ones and the ones that are easy to find in foods that are available to us. Carotenoids, tetraterpenoids, they're pretty easy to identify because they're some of the brighter colors in our foods. If there's not much algae in our diets here, but algae is a great source of all this seaweeds. There is, what is that dish? There is a dish from Korea that's almost like licking the bottom of a boat. I don't recommend it. I would go with these guys: pumpkins, carrots, corn, tomatoes. Canaries, I don't know about. I've never tried. Flamingos are around. Salmon. Lobster, shrimp, and daffodils are poisonous, so don't try it. Lactic acid. These have you guys ever heard these terms before, these phytonutrients, or do you mostly go with like vitamin and mineral names?
Yeah.
Phytonutrients is not used often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll probably see a few of these in marketing soon, because everyone's trying to like pull some new tricks. So you'll probably start seeing these names on packaging. And you also see some pushback from people like the FDA, who calls who says a lot of this stuff is fake cancer cure. When at the same time, there are a lot of Pfizers out there that are trying to patent factory-made versions of these because they know that they work. So I wouldn't always listen to what the big guys say. I would go with nature. Not sure where. Okay. So this one we find in some pretty common things: apples, berries, and tea. Tea has more than one. This is the first off the bat. Phytoestrogens, they're good and they're bad. They fit into the estrogen receptors in both men and women, and they can do some good things like clear up our skin, stop menstrual cramping. They can help with some of the symptoms of menopause, which I have luckily just finished. But if these the phytoestrogens are a little bit trickier because they have a weaker bond to the receptor, so it's not as consistent. It's not you can't consider it a dosage by eating X amount of food with so much phytoestrogen. They also blame this, and I don't know if you guys remember this a few years ago, why there was, I think it was even the government in China blamed soy products and tofu for why their boys are so effeminate, which actually could be true. It was at the beginning of this whole conversation. But eating too much soy, eating too many, I don't see where to do that. But I wouldn't go soy crazy, but it's not probably the amount of soy that it's not very popular here, but Jessica, we had a whole class on soy. How much do you usually eat out in a week?
How much do I eat? How much
Yeah.
soy do I eat in a week?
Yeah, so
I don't know. It doesn't come up a lot. Like I don't do tofu, but I know that it's a common ingredient in a lot of things. It's also a common allergen. So.
Yeah. Oh, you've probably have you? Is she old enough that you already did the allergy testing, or it's a few months away?
She hasn't started food yet. We'll do that in about a week and a half, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, you make a good point. There's soy put in everything. Soy lecithin in chocolate and candy and just about every kind of junk food that we consume might be delicious, but we kind of never know what's in it. But I think they're getting better at labeling it now. Then. But yeah, I remember now, we did a vegetarian class, but you were not vegetarian.
Right.
That's delicious, but it's, I think, yeah, there's a lot of confusion between TVP and soy that could also maybe cause some issues. I don't think anyone's eating enough. Nobody that I know actually is eating enough soy that they're going to trigger a uteral cancer, but well, I can't say. But yeah, it's aside from that, it's one of the crops that are just really super heavily sprayed, along with garbanzo beans and canola. So those are things, even if you're not buying organic every day in your life, there are some things that are worth doing it. But soy and garbanzo are the big ones because we think we're doing a good thing by eating them, but especially for kids, who are more sensitive to glyphosates. It's something to consider now, which it never was before. I never scarfed down a bag of Doritos wondering whether or not it had been sprayed with Roundup. I'm just gonna catch up to where we were. What's up? And some of some of the good things that it does, it helps with osteoporosis, menstrual relief, and acne there, but then the bad stuff, cancer and tumors and all, yeah, not pretty. Yeah, I don't mind that. Then we're gonna move on to well, to give you an idea of how pervasive it is, because I used to only think of soy as a source of phytoestrogen, but this list goes on forever, and that's a short list of just what would fit. I'm not giving up sesame seeds though, or miso, or red wine, and it's in. I know it comes later. Something. Oh no, here, bourbon. I'm not going to give up bourbon. I don't. Yeah, bring on the tumor. Anthocyanins. It's another type of antioxidant. All of these guys kind of are. So it's. I don't mean to scare you guys about having too many antioxidants, but I would say if you're eating generally, if you're eating enough vegetables day to day, I would say I wouldn't add a supplement to it, because that's where it gets dangerous, is when you're cramming 600% of anything that you need. Vitamin C is one of the, I guess, more well-known antioxidants. And some of those daily supplements are a few thousand times the recommended intake. And that's because it's not in a form that our bodies recognize it. And so it wants to flush it out. But by taking so much of it, you kind of force it into your body, and that has no choice but to put it somewhere. That's where it gets dangerous. In general, unless you're elderly or a sick child, but with specific diseases, there's really no need to take daily vitamins. Our body doesn't make use of most of it. So don't waste your money, just eat better food. Then anthocyanins, these are easy to spot as well. They're all the really dark, rich color foods: red cabbage, berries, beets. Anytime you see purple, red, black, blue, it's these guys. And the difference in color is just, it depends on the pH level of that food. You can actually do some neat stuff. They do it in kitchens sometimes, where you add some vinegar, a little bit of vinegar to a red or purple veggie, and it turns a bright pink. It's really cute. And then they'll pour that vinegar off sometimes and make sauces and whatever. But next time you're eating, what on here would be common, I guess red cabbage would be the most common. Try it out, throw some vinegar, and you'll see how the color changes. That's basically the difference. But if you for some reason are told to take in more antioxidants, just look for these guys. It's the easiest way to do it. The other, moving away from phytonutrients, the other biggest way to help your immune system, all your systems really, is through hydration. Here, people are pretty well hydrated with Coke, refrescos, and that kind of stuff, which doesn't count. We're going to get to it in a second. So
it's like the Mexican diet.
Just cut it out. It has no place. It has no place in a healthy immune system, which could be why I don't know what the rankings are now that there's a second wave. The US is like apparently going out of control. They are also consistently rated as like the most underhydrated country in the world, which you'd think with Jennifer Aniston pushing smart water into your face, we'd all be more than hydrated. But if you're not hydrated, you aren't digesting. It's kind of the grease for all of your systems. It's hard to, for years they've been going back and forth how much to drink, if it's gallons, liters, cups, ounces, only drink it when you're thirsty. But the current one to add to that mess is 50% of your body weight in pounds. So we'll do the conversion in a bit. For kilograms, when I send this to you guys, 50% of your weight in pounds converts to 1 fluid ounce of water per day. So if you weigh 20 pounds, you want to drink 10 ounces of water. And I would generally go by that, because the default in drink when you're thirsty is by the time you're thirsty, your body's already dehydrated. So it's not, if we're trying to avoid getting sick, then it's too late. By that time, you're on the way to COVID Central. Gut health is the other big way to do it. These are some, it kind of grosses me out, but I don't know why. That human cells only make up 43% of our body. That doesn't make sense to me, but and the rest are other organisms by weight. There's some other numbers coming up, and if we think of that, and then that 70, some say 70, some say 80, 70% of our immune system is focused in our gut. So it's a fairly large number. So that should indicate to all of us that that's where we should be focusing. There are a few systems that come into play with our gut. We're not going to get into all of them today, but the important ones as far as food goes. But one of the coolest is that our stomach linings have taste buds, basically, that read molecular structures of everything that passes through it. And so it knows the difference between good and bad stuff, basically, which is why I think it comes up every time we talk about Jamaica water, the hibiscus water in a class, that it only kills bad bacteria and not our good bacteria. So Jamaica water, which is pretty popular here. I don't know if have you been drinking it, Jessica, since you've gone back home?
Yeah, actually, get that as an herbal tea.
Perfect.
Absolutely my favorite.
So I think I've maybe found this out after our class, that there's a university here at UNAM that's testing all of the natural remedies that are here in Mexico that have been around for a while. That's I'm sure people here know, but in the rest of the world, they don't realize that Mexico has one of the richest plant medicine cultures in the world. It's up there with China. No, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna censor myself right there. Jamaica water was always, until recently, a wives' tale, but they've tested it, and they found that it kills more bad bacteria, microorganisms, than chlorine, bleach. 99.99 repeating percent, but only the bad ones. And between that and ginger, so if you make a ginger Jamaica, it will, and you are drinking it every day, maybe a few sips every couple of hours or so, it's one of the best ways to prevent that bacteria from getting into your system through your mouth. You could snort it, I guess. You could take some eye drops, but I haven't tried it yet, so I can't recommend it. The ginger might burn.
I have one question. Right? I have one question. It's not like a question. It's more like normally, like every day, in the morning, like the first thing that I do every morning is like drinking like a water with lemon. It's it's good, not for your digestion and that stuff.
Yeah, it also kind of it greases up your neural receptors, so it wakes your body and your brain up a little bit faster.
Do you recommend it to do it like every day, or just like maybe 3 days per week or something like that?
The downside of that is that the acid from the lemon is hell on your enamel, so it's going to erode your teeth pretty quickly.
Okay.
And if you're, especially here, having lime on almost every meal, it's not good news for your teeth. So it's, if you want to keep doing it, if you like it, I would maybe drink it through a straw and just try to get it to the back of your mouth instead of all throughout your mouth.
Okay.
That can help cut down on it. Same with soda. If you're going to drink, well, any carbonated, it's not actually the sugar in refrescos that's killing
Well,
it.
I don't drink like any like carbonated drinks. Like,
yeah, it's the carbonation.
I don't do it.
So they say too, when you do, if it's occasional, once a year or something, it's not a big deal. But if you are, because I used to like chug sparkling water. And then I heard this, and like, yeah, I cut it out. So, but if you do with a straw is a good way to do it. I'm gonna be thinking about a way to just swallow. I'm gonna make gel caps, lemon gel caps that you just swallow in the morning. There you go. We're gonna make millions. If you guys want to be partners, otherwise I'm gonna make millions, and I'll invite you to my house. Then the bacteria alone in our gut, just counting the good stuff, would weigh about 5 pounds if we were to take it all out, which is absurd to me. So the gut isn't just breaking it down and getting us ready to go, but it's we're finding the role of our gut is a lot more hefty than we thought before. It's actually where we thought that our brain was controlling emotions and community and connection. We're finding now that the gut controls the brain, and it's direct through a nerve that taps right into it. So we're not going to get into it now, but as far as mood, and then mood can affect what you eat, which is kind of, it's a little bit backwards. If you're in a bad mood because you're imbalanced because of your gut, we mostly eat when we're not feeling right. So we're going to eat more crappy food. It's like a cycle. It's kind of a downward spiral. That's why it's important to have a good cry with maybe an apple or a bowl of yogurt instead of some ice cream. Then so those are the major things that we're looking at. It's it's our hydration, phytonutrients, and gut health. I think you're going to see in a minute, I didn't even have time to get through all of the notes I had been taking because I knew they wouldn't fit in an hour. So we're already almost there. The other we'll get to in a second is about sugars, but these foods here are talking specifically to healthy gut. Fermented foods, krauts, kombucha, yogurt, just yogurt without a lot of extra sugar. And if you aren't a fan of yogurt anyways, I would say skip it, because usually the milk that's being used is more detrimental to our systems than helpful, because once it's pasteurized, it changes all the good stuff that is in milk into stuff that's actively harmful. Yogurt can be probiotic, but I wouldn't say it's the best option if you're trying to go for a ferment. For anyone living here, I'm about to start a new kombucha batch. So maybe we'll do a kombucha class.
We want it.
It's fantastic. I love it. You talk about regular. Jessica, I don't remember if you drink kombucha, do you?
Sometimes, yeah.
I thought I heard you're not supposed to drink it when you're pregnant, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Not supposed to do a lot of things. I went to that market that you were at yesterday.
Then one.
Right after my ate oysters. I'm not supposed to do that either. But
no, that's up on the list. That's wow. Yeah, good for you. She's gonna be a strong human.
Well, if they can't hang on, then it's fine.
Yeah, right. They say that your overall gut health is actually pretty much set. You're given a window by how you spend your early years. So it's if you have a natural birth, if you breastfeed, if you play in the dirt and get dirty and eat, and it like gets stuff in your mouth, like all those things are inoculating your biome that you have for the rest of your life. And they say that while you can boost it in some ways, there's so many different kinds of bacteria that once it's established, you can't really introduce new communities into it. So you kind of have that set that you have from the beginning, and it has a little bit of wiggle room, but you can't add like the other few thousand that you might not have had your whole life. And they're finding that it, aside from mood, brain chemistry and all that, they find that communities and friends and lovers, people that are attracted to each other, have the same gut flora, the same floral arrangement, if you will. But they're not. So they're trying to figure out now if it's that it's actually our guts that are attracted to each other, which would make sense because it's a saying like follow your gut, right? And it's been around for a long time. So maybe that could be that. I'm willing to go with that. The other thing, which also makes sense, but it's boring, is that they have a similar flora because they are around each other, exposed to the same things, eating the same things, maybe making out and all that kind of stuff. And so they exchange, they're sharing an environment. And so they kind of balance out between them. I don't like that one as much. It's not as exciting. So the other fantastic thing we can do for aside from fermented foods, which are introducing bacteria, like live cultures into our bodies. And then once they get down there, they join the party, they all hang out for a bit, hopefully for a while. So that's considered a probiotic. A prebiotic is something that supports those communities. That's not a living thing. One of the best is fiber, and there's fiber in a lot of things. We don't usually have to worry about our fiber intake unless you have a disorder unless there's a condition that you are restricted in your diet, and you might need to look for some extra fiber. But it's not like the 80s where we thought we only got it from breakfast cereals. But prebiotic fibers are in just about anything natural that you're going to eat. Every fruit and vegetable will have some kind of fiber, soluble or not. One of the best is garlic skin, and it's usually it's one of the most dense, and it's kind of their favorite, which is great because it's also delicious. The skin itself is a little bit bitter if you eat it raw, so I don't suggest putting it into a guacamole or something that's not going to be cooked. But if you're cooking your food and you're blending it up, throw the skin in with the tomatoes and whatever else. If you're making a tinga, if you're making a pasta sauce, blend it up, and once you cook it, the bitterness goes away. That's one of the best things you can do. Also, if I have an onion here somewhere, or a piece of garlic, I'm gonna get one. This also is a recent kind of exciting thing. I think in that bowl down there. Like I was saying before, how they're root vegetables, so they pull all of their nutrients down at some point and they become healthier. With garlic and onions, the majority of the antioxidants, the phytonutrients they're more concentrated the closer you get to the actual root part here. So like this part that we always cut from way up here is the healthiest part. So if you can get as close as you can to like the root of these guys here and the outer skin. So it's the outer skin closest to the root has the most benefit of all of it. So I've really started trying to, well, if I'm blending it, I throw the whole thing in. But I've really started trying to get like all the way down to that root if possible. Because I'm also a little bit OCD, if you didn't know. So yeah, the way that we get, so we also do have bad bacteria in our gut, but it's usually fairly balanced out. Ways that it can take over is if they feed, it's almost like a cartoon in my head, that the bad bacteria they love sugar and they love refined sugar, not the natural ones that are combined with the fiber and other nutrients that tell our bodies how to process it in a different way, but like refined sugars. It's like Popeye was good. I'm trying to think of a cartoon that ate something that made them more powerful. Pac-Man, but he was good. Yeah, think of it like evil Pac-Man. Detriment, like those kind of sugars boost the population. If they tip that balance, we develop things like candida. The other way that we can get out of whack is if we're taking too many antibiotics. And I have, in my country, we take it for everything. Maybe not so much anymore since people have started thinking about it a little bit more, but as a kid, just it didn't matter what it was. Any sneeze, any cough, any first sign of not homeostasis, you would take my mom would pull out an old bottle of expired antibiotics and you start popping it until you're better. It destroys your system. It makes it so that we can't, without the beneficial bacteria there, we're not absorbing nutrients. It makes it harder to get back to a healthy state. And when you're not feeling healthy, you don't want to eat healthy. And so that's another spiral that we can all easily find ourselves sliding down. Last year, I had a dog bite and I had to take 2 kinds of antibiotics, and then I had to take a 3rd one, and it killed me. C. diff is what I had. So taking too many antibiotics, the bad bacteria. It's a long, like 40-letter word. I can't remember. C. diff is what you call it for short. Takes over, and that is awful. That is a good 8 months of not leaving your house. Not fun in a yoga class. Not fun in public. Nowhere. It's awful. Sugar antibiotics, the way to funk it up. I'm sorry. I think we're already at 7. I don't mind if you guys don't mind. We can, because I do want to talk about recipes. But if anyone has to go, I'll be sure to get you the recipe anyways. But does anyone need to go, or do you guys want to go right into the recipes part?
No, go ahead.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Because this is the actual fun part. Now that all the surface science is over. So we mentioned some ingredients as we were going through that we could incorporate to help out our systems. Just with well, the first one that I was thinking of, I know I don't want to. I'll go last. Okay, so we were talking about fermented foods, kombuchas. We were a lot of fruits, a lot of veggies, and then some of the things that. Is this still shared? Are you guys seeing my screen now? What are you seeing? What are you
We've
guys?
seen your screen the whole. I haven't seen you at all.
Oh, are you? Why am I looking you guys in the eyes?
No,
Ah,
we
okay.
see you, but I think it's because
Yeah, let's.
we are, for example, we are in the computer, but if you are like in your phone, like the vision of the screen is different. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been trying to make eye contact with you
No,
awkwardly
we
through this
have
camera.
seen you. We have seen you, but yeah, I think it's different, like between the computer and the phone.
Okay. So we I have like lists and lists of things that we could, but I'm gonna back out. We can change it back to the camera view of me, so you don't have to see my messy notes. So fermented foods, I would say totally get into it. It's most of the time you're not doing anything. The easiest is a simple kraut, which I'll write down to share with you guys. Sometimes it takes a little bit of like faking it, and like you gotta fake it till you make it with some krauts. It's not a flavor that you're used to, and if you're not used to letting food sit out and rot, and then eat it, it can also be a little bit daunting. But there's actually a lot of fermented foods in Mexico already. So like an easy one would be tepache. Which, pulque is a great one. Pulque, I always tell any one of my students that are coming through, like, go have pulque at the very beginning of your trip. Most of what people think is, oh, what do they call it? There's a new name. It used to be Montezuma's Revenge, which is pretty offensive. Maybe true, but they called it the poo flu on all the talk shows last year. Oh, no, right before this quarantine stuff. That was the word they were quoting in like the New York Times and everything. And it's not actually a flu or an infection. It's most of the time it's bacteria that's totally normal and pervasive, but from taking too many antibiotics and being so sterile your whole life, when you encounter a bacteria that you should have already integrated into your body, that's what happens. So pulque is one of the best because it's an open air fermentation. So it's all the ambient bacteria and yeast that would otherwise shock your body. That's a great one. I wonder, I'm gonna, have you ever seen a recipe that uses pulque?
No.
That's not just the drink itself, like a dressing or a soup would be kind of gross, but I bet a dressing could be good. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna write it down. But for things that everyone could make at home, some of our, I'll go through a list for you guys of a ton of stuff and see what comes up. I guess the idea would be to use as many of these ingredients in one recipe. It doesn't have to be a recipe that exists. Maybe we make it up and we see if it's has its a place in history, or if we forget about it and never talk about it again. Let's see. It's so in general, it doesn't include a lot of meat. It's a lot of veggies, a lot of fibery things, berries, cabbage, a lot of nuts, mustard greens, and cruciferous vegetables. So cauliflower, broccoli, kale, cabbage, mustards, oats, barley, definitely red wine. We should something should have wine in it, and bourbon at the same time. A lot of grains are great for the fibers. Coffee, which I can't tell you to drink more. I'm not going to encourage coffee because it's controversial still. Yams, lentils, quinoa, red peppers, any of the bright stuff that we talked about. Apples, they can be delicious. It's kind of boring. No, I'm not going to call it that. Cranberries. Another thing that was not on this because we didn't have time to get to it, capsaicin, the spicy compound of a pepper, is fantastic for our gut health, regardless of what any doctor will tell you. It might not be good for you for another reason, but as far as like good for your gut in a normal situation, it's fantastic. They work really well together. So I know one other recipe I'm going to put on the list is because I was about to say Halloween coming up, which it's not. Thanksgiving. A friend passed a recipe that she has had she lives in Texas. That's very Texan. You'll see is a cranberry. It's a cranberry sauce, but it's like half jalapenos. And it was fantastic. I tried it last year and I'm definitely going to make it. So cranberries and jalapenos are two fantastic things for the gut. So I think it deserves a spot here. What are you guys thinking? Does anything come to mind?
I'm sorry, for what specifically?
Oh, and you don't have to. I already have a big old list to send to you guys. Just recipes that you would want to add to this based on what we talked about and some of the ingredients that we went through. If there's anything that pops into your head of like a recipe that belongs here, if you were to.
Yeah, you had mentioned perhaps doing. Okay, is it possible to incorporate kombucha in some sort of recipe?
Yeah, kombucha dressing. Yeah. Definitely. Do you brew it at home or do you buy the bottle?
No, there's a market nearby with like a tap that you can get it from.
For real? That's ideal. Wow, that's ideal because it's still picking up. It's not even brought in from a factory, so it's cultivating that ambient bacteria there. So that's ideal. I would say salad dressing. Instead of like anywhere you would use a vinegar. Actually, if you leave a kombucha go for so long, it turns into a vinegar. And if you leave the mother in and you don't distill it, it lasts for, I think, that bottle there was until about 2 weeks ago. It was a 3-year-old bottle of kombucha vinegar that I made.
Oh my gosh.
And I, for some reason, tried it with vanilla beans. I think I thought it was bourbon, and I put the vanilla beans in, and then I forgot about it. And it wasn't delicious, but I used it. But you can also use it to clean. If you don't end up liking your kombucha vinegar, you can use it to clean glass. It's
okay.
Well, you could try the vanilla. You could try putting vanilla in it, but otherwise I'd say some kind of fruit or something more suitable for a dressing than like $20 vanilla beans. I'm gonna look for my charger for a second because I have about 9% left. What other vinegar recipes do we have? So I guess that could be like if you were like a quinoa salad with. So there's the kombucha, quinoa. It's also on the list. Some kind of citrus, and then chives or green onions, and one of those nuts. I feel like I'm at a. There's no. I feel like I'm at a ordering window of like of a fast food restaurant. I'm like, just throw that, and maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. No, this one will definitely. If you haven't had a quinoa salad, oh, that's more summery. I don't know. It's still warm here. There we go. I'm gonna put it down anyways. Okay. What else? What else do you guys think? I guess it would be easier if you could see this list, huh? Let me. I'm just gonna start sending stuff in a message so you guys can see this. I just realized that you guys should feel free to tell me something doesn't make sense if it doesn't. Mustard green. I don't see so many. There's cauliflower here. I don't see a ton of cruciferous vegetables here. I think it's too warm of a climate. But probably around you, Jess, it's a ton right now, right? Like cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Any of that with, kombucha. If you soak kombucha in a cauliflower, that would be pretty good. I don't know if it's too cold to eat something like that. It's not really a warm dish, but
No.
it's good. It's good. We still get flus in the summer. We all know by now. The chat here. Let me know if you guys don't get it. It's just going to be a long ass list of stuff. That's the first part. Licorice root is one of them. Licorice root is, I guess, it's a particular taste. Everyone doesn't love it, but it's also it's originally a medicinal. Even the candy, like a licorice rope, was sold as a medicine first. It's good for a lot of digestive issues, but also menstrual cramps, which I luckily don't get anymore. But because of the licorice, I think. Also helps you stop smoking. If you're on that, if you know someone quitting smoking, just to chew on that root. That's a different day though. Today is just we're talking about goods. The rest of that list, I would say any of these in the bourbon would be perfect. Did it come through to you guys? And does anyone know what a wolfberry is? I've never heard of a wolfberry, and now I want to try it. Anyways, well, if we don't have to do it now. If you guys think of stuff later that you want to add to it, what I'm going to do is the other fantastic one. We barely touched on spices and herbs that are good support for the system. Here's the number one, saving the best for last. Anytime you see a cold or flu medicine in the store, it's, we can't cure a flu, we can only treat the symptoms. Every single one of those store-bought flu tablets is based on the active compound in star anise. It's the most effective of everything in nature. So a plain tea with star anise, boil some water, pour it over, is perfect. But also any foods using it. The one that I found, because it was perfect timing, horrible circumstance, but perfect timing. My night blooming jasmine started blooming over the summer during quarantine. So I was reading about what can I do with it because it blooms for a night. If you guys don't know it, it's a cactus orchid from Veracruz. Blooms only for one night, for a few hours, opens up. It smells like what is it? It's hard to describe. It fills your house. I had to open the windows because the smell was fantastic, but too intense. And then it dies before the morning. It's been, even though it comes from here, it's all over the world. People now even think it's Chinese because it's so pervasive in their food and medicine and celebrations. But it's one of the best ways to clean out your lungs and your bronchial passageways. So they make a soup and a tea, and they have a festival where you harvest your queen of the night, chop it up, dry it up, and keep it for when you might be getting sick. So I was looking for recipes for that. And pho, Vietnam pho has, I think every ingredient in pho is on one of these lists. So it's roasted ginger and mushrooms are the base. If you don't want to do a meat-based broth, and star anise, cinnamon, coriander. It's like 3 grand slams of off this list. So I'm going to give you guys that recipe too. And you'd think it would be hard to make a Vietnamese broth, but the ingredients are actually super common. And if you make a big enough batch of it, because it takes a while, there's a few steps, you can just freeze batches of it and pull it out as you need it. But even just to sip it during the day, like a savory tea or something, is great. And bone broth would be the other one if you're into it. That's one of the heftiest immune boosters that we can get. If you don't have a bunch of bones laying around, or you already got rid of them for the winter, you can go to a butcher, and usually they have a bunch of bone scraps. Not in San Juan. They're like, we saw them off to the side. I don't think I mentioned it, but there were guys just collecting the bones to be able to, well, it's a delicacy if it's the right kind of bone, but also selling like that. It's like gold. And they attribute that to, it's one of the only ways to trigger collagen regeneration in your skin without getting Botox. And so I'm sure they're selling it to somebody because they were serious about it, like taking inventory and everything. So bone broth is a good one. Ask a butcher. They usually have scraps they're happy to give you. I'll put that on there too. But if you guys, did you guys want to add anything, or do you want to maybe send it later?
Anything else?
You don't have to. So I'll put all of these together and send you all these recipes. There's a ton actually. And if you think of something later, we can add it. But so what I'll be sending you is, it's a recipe database-ish, book-ish kind of file where everything in there is going to be some way to support your immune system to fight off the flu in the winter. That's what we accomplished in an hour today. No, they're all fantastic. Of course, if you go to try it, have any questions, let me know. And if anyone wants to cook it together, let me know too. We can set up a call and do some cooking. The pho is a fun one. That would actually be a fun dinner to make if you haven't had it. There's now a pho restaurant in Mexico City, but I'm gonna say mine. She agrees. I guess that's the light signal. Yeah, sweet. I will, Jess, I'm gonna send you an email. You don't have to do it tonight. I'll send you an email, and when you have a chance to respond, let me know. And tomorrow, are you coming tomorrow as well?
What's tomorrow?
It's the herbs dish. We're gonna do Mexican tarragon. It's a
maybe. Sorry, I can't remember. I can't remember anything without looking at my calendar.
Well, we're actually, everything's recorded and it's all going into an archive. So if you aren't there, then you can always watch it later.
Okay, very cool. Thank you so much.
I wish I'm gonna try real quick to say hi at the screen. Oh my God, she's so cute.
Oh. She's very tired.
Okay, I'll say sorry. Bye. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Oh, there's Irene. Hola, buenas. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola.
Hola. Okay. Ciao.
Bye.